Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the last of our TCM meetings in San Sebastián. It's a usually exciting day, the day of the awards, the different sections, but today we're going to be faithful to what we do every single day, to give a space to talk, to a relaxed conversation. We have 3 crews with us, and we're going to welcome them with a warm applause.
Well,
hello,
how are you?
Our first film today is a Romanian production within the new directors section, A Decent Man, Un om la locul lui. And we're here with the director and screenwriter, Adrian Marcu, and the producer, Ana Maria. How are you?
A Decent Man, Adrian, es una película que creo que está
A Decent Man is a film inspired in a novel, but it's quite separated from the original novel. But why did this novel attract you? What was it that attracted you most?
Well, it was mostly for the male character, because in the novel the novel was structured around the 3 characters in equal measure, a male and 2 female. So I, of course, opted to tell the film from the male perspective, and also the working environment, the industry background was interesting to me.
Ahora seguimos hablando un poco de la película, pero para quien no la
We'll keep talking about the film, but for those who haven't watched it yet, here's some footage. A Decent Man is a man who is between 2 women, and her girlfriend who is pregnant, and a lover who just had an accident. Let's watch some images.
Bueno, ahí veíamos las imágenes.
Well, here's the images. This is technical mistake. The sound failed, but now we're going to watch it with sound. Sorry.
Bueno, se nos ha quedado ahí atrapada
well,
la imagen.
The image is still. Well, let's talk, and when the image is okay, we'll show it again. So you were saying that you were very interested by the background of the surrounding of where the character works. Is this a platform, which is an oil platform, a drilling platform? You did a great research. You documented yourself. You visited an oil drilling platform to be able to know the medium, to be realistic in your details.
Yeah, we visited several rigs in scouting, and once we decided to settle on the one that we shot at, we spent some time there, me and the DP first, a few days, and while his job is more technical, I was also taking in information from the crew and interacting with the engineers, who are technically the equivalent of the main character. So they were really welcoming, and we had a good interaction. And throughout the shooting also, everything went well, because they were actually working. It was a functional drilling installation, so we had to move around them. But everything went well, and the interest for the special type of industry came from the fact that they live like nomads. They don't settle just for like a year maybe, but then they move around. They don't have they move with the rig where the contracts call them, and they do have a special type of pressure on their social life. So that's what informed the background of the main character.
Bueno, parece que ahora tenemos las imágenes y las tenemos además con sonido.
Here's the images and with the sound.
Sorry. No problem.
Like we were saying, it's a very male environment, but the film shows a man who goes through a crisis, and it's a male crisis, classic male crisis, or isn't it?
It is, yeah, sure, because it's a mostly male crisis, because we chose to tell the story from the male perspective. We had some feedback at some point on the script that the female characters are also interesting, and of course they're equally interesting. So the thing is, at some point I chose the male perspective because it's closer to mine. So I identified with his point of view more. I'm more knowledgeable about that, so that's how we ended with one character, as opposed to the novel, who follows in equal measure the three characters.
El protagonista de la película es el actor.
The character is Bogdan Dumitrache, one of the most relevant Romanian actors in abroad, and last year he was awarded best actor in San Sebastian. Having Bogdan within the cast, does the production make it easier, or does it make the production easier, or in having him as a name, as a big name?
Unfortunately, in Romania, we don't have yet this star actors, which would help you with making the financing easy to achieve. So the answer would be no. Having him didn't have like an impact on the financing, and especially as we're talking about a debut film, in general, it's not the easy path. So it's difficult to finance, but yeah, we did it. It was quite low budget, but we managed to raise enough money to make the production.
Bogdan, de alguna manera, lleva todo.
Bogdan, he has all the weight of the film. How was it working with him?
Well, it's a small world, the Romanian cinema, so we knew each other from before. We haven't had work before, but we were acquainted, and we talked a bit before even starting the casting about the film. And he seemed to be the right fit, and all throughout the course of the production, we really didn't have any glitches. Actually, everything went well. We undershot by 2 days, so everything went well.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias a los dos por estar con nosotros.
Thank you very much for being with us today with this film, a film with a male crisis from a very masculine perspective, but a problem that anybody can relate to, especially a certain aged male spectators can relate to. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bueno, pues como decimos siempre,
well, like we always say, TCM meetings, it's like a Babel tower. We go from Romania, we go to China to meet a new director, Kun Yang. Hello, ni hao, nice to meet you.
A entendernos con,
he's going to help us understand Kun Yang. In the new director section, he presents a film in English, whose title in English, Breeze. A film that also shows a male character in crisis. In this case, it's a grandfather, a mature character. Why did you choose this character? And somehow I feel that it's a character that talks about a very common situation in China, or usual situation in China.
他问就是为什么选择这个男主演？ 然后他是专业的吗？还是业余的？然后呢，就是在电影里边这种场景是经常发生的吗？
选择这个主演是我通过试戏然后寻找的。他之前是一直拍电视剧的一个演员，就是除了这个，我们其他的演员都是非职业演员。
Okay, the main character in the film, the grandfather, he's a professional actor. Actually, he had performed in many TV series in China, but except him, all the rest characters we found is amateur.
Pero hablo el problema que siente el abuelo.
The problem, I feel the problem himself. He has no roots. He's lost his roots. He's lost his connection. He's gone to live in Beijing. I feel that the film wants to portray the radical changes China has gone through and how it has affected people.
因为在电影当中，我们看到他是出生在一个就是出生在一个地方，然后到北京工作生活那么多年，然后这种情况就是也是受经济社会的影响。然后这种东西的话，对人的影响有哪些？
这是主要是对人精神世界的影响，就好像每个人有每个人的乡愁，因为童年跟成长期在一个地方，然后生活在一个地方，然后一个人就会有2个不同的地方的生活经验，然后但是内心之中的精神世界里边，人总有一个归属的感觉，就是他会对他出生的地方有一种乡愁吧。
As in the character, the main character grandfather in the film, he was born in a small village. Then he moved to the big city, Beijing, and he has he has 2 worlds, and in the spiritual part, he's looking for his sense of belonging. Actually, in this film, yeah.
还有就是现在这个全世界来说，我觉得也是现在年轻人大量的在不同城市之中迁徙，这也是现在社会发展的一个情况。所以说这种事情，我觉得会越来越多。就是我拍这个老人也是对年轻人的一个，可能是未来的一个预言吧。
So one of the aims of this film is like to reflect like an omen for the young generation, because in China there are thousands of young generation like this. They were born in a small village, they moved to a bigger city to look for make a living, and yeah, it's happening in China. And so that's why we make this film, and to ask them to think about it, this social problem that we have, and so this is one of the focus, one of the aims of this film.
Bueno, pues como decía, el protagonista es un abuelo.
Like I said, the main character is a grandfather who goes back to Yunnan, his originary town, and looking for his roots. And the town has changed so much; he doesn't find his roots.
Bueno, además del abuelo.
Besides the grandfather, who's the main character, there's other characters, more secondary characters, but who are also relevant in the film. For instance, the son and the couple of the son. They're not even good enough they only have time to raise his children, and this is a social reality of how China has changed lately.
在电影当中啊，就是除了这个主演以外，就其他演员，就包括这个父亲呢，包括其他家庭里面都有孩子。然后呢，就他们发现他们很少有时间去照顾这些孩子。然后呢，这些情况的话，就是在中国是经常发生的吗？就你对这个问题是怎么看
的？在不同的那个城市吧，就是像北京这种城市，然后经济飞速的发展，然后那个中年人的生活工作压力会很大，就是会用很多的时间在工作上，可能会忽略到小孩子的教育。然后小地方小地方就是回到家乡那个小孩，然后他们就相对于比较自由跟那个，但是就是成年人的世界，就是对小孩的现在的关注是我想有一个呼应，就是有一个对比的东西，然后是差不多的情况，这样。
Yeah, it's happening in China. It's like in the film, you know, the senior citizen, the old people, or the father and the mother in China are working very hard, and actually sometimes they are ignoring the education of the kids. But relatively, like in a small town in Yunnan, in a small village, things are a little bit better, but still have the problem. The parents are working too hard. They have no time to, you know, to take care of the kids' education or something like that. But it's real. It's happening.
Tengo la sensación que la película tiene dos.
I have the feeling that the film has two different aesthetics. One is colder, the part who takes place in Beijing, and the warmer one, the part that takes place in Yunnan, in the little town. Is this? Did you think about it before? Like, did you consider doing it like this with an intention?
OK， 在电影当中就是在有2个场景嘛，一个是北京，一个是就是家乡。然后呢，就是在北京里边，相对来讲稍微冷淡一点。然后在农村里边，我们可能是会看到一些温情。然后呢，就这个场景的一个对比，是你刻意来寻找的一个东西嘛。
对，就是现在城市人们就是为了生存压力，然后工作就会有一种人与人之间就是比更小一点的城市，然后冷漠感、孤独感要严重一点，这是我就是故意安排的情节。就是小城市相对于就是因为它环境小人少，然后相对于还保留着那种传统的就是人与人之间的关系。
Yeah, in a big city, you know, the pressure of the life, of the working, from the work, from every respect, so make people, you know, they have the indifference between people, more relationship, you know, they get not that close as in a small village. But in a small village also, you know, because there are not too many people, not too many population, so they have you know, a relatively close relationship. But still we can see in a film, in a small village, they have somehow, you know, they're not that close anymore. So that's the director who wants to invade in this film.
La comida. En la película comen muchísimo. Prácticamente en todas las escenas están comiendo. ¿Por qué?
Why do they eat all the time? Constantly, they're eating in every scene.
电影当中有很多就在吃饭的场景，他们为什么一直在吃？
我觉得吃饭对人是一个很重要的事情，而且我是有想在用这种吃饭，然后一是表达那个食物的味道是人比较记忆中最强烈的味道，就是对家乡它就是有食物的味道。二是想表达人的欲望，通过这种来隐喻人的欲望的东西。
Yeah, but for food, it's a basic thing for each human being. Also, in this film, the food is a reflection of the desire of human being. Also, you know, for the people who live, who have abandoned their life, their village life, and moved to a new place. So for the food, you know, when they think about the food, they think about their hometown.
Muy interesante. Pues muchísimas gracias por traernos esta aproximación.
Very interesting. Thank you for showing us the changes that China is going through currently through this fantastic grandfather character who is really adorable. Thank you very much. 再见.
Thank you very much. Bueno, y hoy terminamos nuestro encuentro de hoy.
So this is the last meeting of today and the meeting of this year's festival. We're going to finish it with Jaime Rosales. We're really happy to have you here. We're happy to have you closing the meetings. I'm sure you know him, you know his films. He's presented Petra in the Perla section, who was also presented in Cannes, in the Filmmakers Fortnight. I have the feeling that Petra is like a milestone in your career. Is it the film that less experimental films of what you've done? till now, or is it more like an ordinary, conventional narrative film? Was this premeditated? It was intentionally? Well, in my case, I have to say, and also in the case of everyone, I think that the films are a result of a design. It's not like a dark box or inspiration where a single person has ideas. It's a personal work, but it's a teamwork. It's a group work, and in that work, there's a lot of paces, lots of paths that are going through, a lot of corrections, a lot of contributions. So the original design had the aim of making a combination of classic film and modern film. When I was a child, I watched a lot of classic film. For instance, Howard Hawks and Chaplin and Orson Welles films. But when I was an adult, when I was already a filmmaker, I discovered modernity, Godard, Fellini, Tarkovsky. In this film, I wanted to fuse aspects of both of them without renouncing to my own style, to certain proposals that come from modern cinema. There's a lot of classical elements that I hope that they're attractive for the spectator. The plot, I'm not going to tell a lot about it. There's a woman who looks for her father. Barbara Lenny is the main character, but if it could be like a soap opera, absolutely. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's a soap opera. The initial title was melodrama, and I told the scriptwriters, let's not be ashamed of anything and assume what we want to do. And the filming style is different. That's what's the opposed to the style. And one of the things that I try to reflect in my last films is to film against the script and to edit against the filming. That's how you make the most of the possibilities of cinema, because cinema is a plastic expression, a sound expression which is supported with a narration, with a story. But in this case, the story is so soap-operistic, to put it somehow, full of expression. Everything is like remarked and all the way to being almost ridiculous and funny. When José Luis Rebordinos, the director, selected our films, he liked the humor. So I thought, well, if they find it funny, it must be a comedy. So that was the process, where it was a classical script and a modern way of filming it, and the shock between these two styles. Well, I thought it wasn't it was a comedy. Well, let's define it like a comedy soap opera, comic soap opera, funny soap opera, humoristic.
Tú eres la mujer de Jaume, ¿no?
Sí. Yo creo que con Jaume no se puede aprender nada.
¿Qué opinas de mí?
¿Como artista?
Como persona.
¿Tu padre cómo es?
Bueno, es complejo. Es alguien que puede ser encantador, como puede ser muy perverso, muy cruel.
¿Cruel?
Sí.
Creo que te tendría que ir de aquí.
Barbara Lenny is going to do a residency with this perverted character, a ruthless character, one of the worst that I've seen lately in cinema. Well, besides the structure that is based on a Greek tragedy, which gives place to many different interpretations, but this really mean character that explores the meaningless. But my thesis, and it's the edge of the film, is that this character, he's mean, he's bad when he does an action that is he's mean without any idea, any results, not looking for results. He's just plainly mean because, and when it's not even necessary, he's uselessly mean. So this Jaume, he sexually abuses a woman, because of he makes the most of his situation of power, but even afterwards he humiliates her, unnecessarily humiliates, and this gives place to a vortex of deaths and shocks, and with other characters. You work with actresses like Alvar Baleni and Marisa Paredes, but one of the artists and of the characters, he's the true artist and owner of the farm where you turned, and it's Jean Botey. How did you find him? Well, finding Jean Botey was quite mysterious. We did a casting of actors, natural actors, singers. It was kind of a strange casting. And we found nothing that we were satisfied with. And one day, in one of the days where we were visiting the location, preparing the film, I asked my producer, and what do you think if Joan Botey, the owner of the farm, would play the character? Would it be credible for you? And she said, yes. We tried him and we tested him, and we did a lot of rehearsing work, and it was hard. It was difficult because for a natural is difficult. It's easy for a professional and the other way around. So he was very natural explaining the film, but he had a really hard time being mean and completely ruthless, because he wouldn't do that as a person. So I had to games with him. I had to put him into situations, like bringing him back when he was a kid in school. What would he do? So that's on the other hand, with Marisa, it was very intense and a difficult work, because she's a classical actress, and she's somebody who has built a character as an actress that goes through all the characters that she interprets. And I wanted to clean her hard disk, to put it somehow, her actress hard disk. And that was very intense. And I'm really thankful for all that effort and for all the tears that both of us cried to this. And you lived all together in that farm, or was it like that? Oh, no. We were in a hotel. It was just a conventional standard filming. Everybody was in their hotel or in their room. We didn't have any sort of soap opera-esque situations, or at least I didn't hear about any funny situation. After filming, sometimes I hear about, wow, the stories, the romantic stories that happen during the filming, and sometimes I find out about them right afterwards. It seems like people go there to pick up, to drag other people. I really like promotion, I like the marketing part, but the turning and the filming is not really my favorite part, and that is really dreadful for me. And you have to bear with the weather, the weather inconveniences, the people inconveniencing. So for me, the fun part is being here, speaking about football and the film and whatever. The Real Sociedad local football team is playing. Are they winning? Well, back to the film. There's certain episodes within the film, and every chapter, every episode announces what is going to happen. That's like kind of a spoiler. Yes, this is the combination of the classical and the modern aspects that I talked about. The announcements have like a Quixotesque style, like in the Quixote, and they tell what the chapter is, what is going to happen in the chapter. But sometimes they play like they're kind of a trap, because they announce more than what is going to happen, and other times they hide things. So this is a game that the film plays with the spectator. I think that all these picaresque and games has an old tradition in literature, like the Quixote, which is full of little games and maneuvers, and I assumed these kind of forms that I adopted them from novels, from theater and literature. Well, this is your most conventional film, but you're always faithful to your style. The camera who's not always on focus. It looks like the spectator is looking at a reality that he's not meant to watch, like looking over through a window. I have the feeling on your films that I'm watching something that I shouldn't be watching, or I don't know if it's me that I'm watching or the camera represents somebody else. Yes, it's curious that the camera sometimes doesn't focus well, because when I did my first camera, I already had this problem. I couldn't focus it well. And a professor that came to watch one of my filming, I was quite a good student. I always went to classes, and I didn't smoke joints because I never liked smoking. So I went to school, and I always cheered, encouraged people to watch films and organize debates. So my professors were thinking that must have thought, well, he'll make films one day. And I showed my professor one of the editing, and it was completely disastrous. Everything was out of focus. The sound was terrible, and he was almost sweating looking at it, and told me, well, but this is a complete disaster. What have you been doing? Or maybe it's is it artistic? Is it art? Because within art, everything is good. So and then I was selected in Cannes, and the French liked it, and because the French like films that are out of focus. And that's how, wow, I was quite successful. So from then on, you've made it your own technique, your own style, not being out of focus. And yeah, because if I don't, people will think, oh, well, it just looks like a conventional film. It's completely focused. So one of the particular things about film that it's a personal art, and at the same time it's a collective, it's a group activity, it's art. But it's industry, on the other hand. Films want to look like others, but at the same time, they want to differentiate from others. So this duality, this ambiguity between being like others, but being different to others, being personal, but at the same time collective, being art, but being industry. And as an industry, you also have to function. You have to produce some results. And it's good that it is like this. I always speak of the economical part of film. I am fascinated by economy in filming, and that is very especially unique. And it's one of these ambiguities of film. When you say when you're interested about economy, is because you're interested about production, or you're looking at certain benefits and financial results when you're planning your film, because usually artists forget this side of the financial side, but you always have it very present. Yes, well, but the same thing. Like I'm bad at focusing. I'm very bad at calculating my results and the benefits that I'm going to obtain, and I always often end up losing money. But it's an exercise about thinking about the three axes: the narrative axis, the story, what I want to tell, the characters and all the adventures. Then there's a cinematographic edge, the shape, the form, the format, the sound, the camera, the music. How is it going to? I'm going to introduce the sound. And this film style is based on a self-inflicted restriction, some rules that I more or less respect, and then the economic axis. And it has to do with thinking, okay, I think this could raise this much money, and it will arrive to this certain market. And this economy is just as important as the narration, the story, and the filming. And I progress on the three of them. Sometimes I advance on one with the character, then I think I'm going to film everything with a fixed camera. No, then I regret. I think it's going to cost 1 million. then I think it's going to cost 3, and then I ended up doing with 100,000. So I always advance blindly. I do and undo. The film was presented in Cannes, now it's in San Sebastián, and the premiere in the commercial theaters is on the 19th of October. You should retain this date. Well, your forecast is coming true. The critics are being really good. Feedback is good. Well, the forecasts are driven by the devil. The festivals are a wonderful platform, but at the same time, people tell you, oh, yeah, it's wonderful, I loved it, but then nobody goes and watches it. So I more and more mistrustful with festivals. So I felt really lucky to have it in Cannes, have it here. This double festival is just awesome, and especially it allows me to gain strength for the 19th of October, a very important film of the days of the premiere with the public. So, and it helps with the press, with the media. But the most remarkable thing from yesterday was that some of my friends that hate me because they're good friends, but they're honest, and they tell me, oh, your films are hateful. But they told me, oh, I love this film. So if one of my friends that they usually hates my films loved it, I thought, what's happening? So this is my 6th film, and there's more things going on that all my former 5 films added up. So that's wonderful. So I'm quite expectant about what's going to happen. My director of photography that taught me a lot, Hélène Houvard, who is a director of photographer, Ali Chavaile, and many other filmmakers. And it was like a cinema training for me, working with her. The spectator is somebody you can trust. You always have to have the aim of conquering them, and you always have to know that the minute you think you're going to find him, they're going to slip and sneak out. So when I told Hélène after 2 weeks, well, I finally know how to do them. And then she would tell me, no, so then we have to change it, because the spectator, if you repeat your movement 3 times, the 4th time they'll guess it before you do it. So you need to change it. And same thing with the screen, the same with the announcement. All the time, spectator is something that he's not your friend, he's your fiend, he's your enemy. So he's sovereign, he has paid a price, and he wants to enjoy themselves. He wants to be interested, he wants to laugh, he wants to have fun, and he's totally entitled to it. It's our responsibility to do it, and for us it's very difficult to do it. And in this film, specifically, the whole team, the crew, the protagonists have worked very hard with this. Thanks, Jaime. I always tell the people that we'll see them with the next film. But but you don't like your film, so don't do them. Well, I try to maybe have somebody else film my next film, and I'll come here to present it. Thank you to everybody. It's been fantastic days. It was a fantastic week. Every day, film is not only a good way of showing stories, but it's good to meeting people, because that's what we do here in the meetings, meet people and talk. Thanks to Juancho on the piano, everybody, there's a lot of people working behind, not only in the festival, but in the meetings. Thank you to all of you, and we hope to see you next year. In the meantime, keep watching films and keep feeding your passion for film. See you next year. Thank you.